But first, President Trump yesterday criticized Dr. Anthony Fauci's remarks that he made to a Senate committee that reopening the economy too soon would cost lives and set back the economic recovery. Here's what Dr. Fauci said on Tuesday, followed by the president yesterday.
There is a real risk that you will trigger an outbreak that you may not be able to control, which in fact, paradoxically, will set you back, not only leading to some suffering and death that could be avoided, but could even set you back on the road to trying to get economic recovery, because it would almost turn the clock back rather than going forward.
Dr. Fauci yesterday was a little cautious on reopening the economy too soon. Do you share his concerns?
About reopening what?
Reopening the economy too soon, some states.
Look, he wants to play all sides of the equation. I think we're going to have a tremendous fourth quarter. I think we're going to have a transitional third quarter. And I think we're going to have a phenomenal next year. I feel that we are going to have a country that's ready to absolutely have one of its best years. Next year, with all of the stimulus and all of the fact that it's a pent-up demand like I haven't seen.
When you say Dr. Fauci is playing both sides, are you suggesting that the advice he's giving to you is different?
I was surprised by his answer, actually, because, it's just, to me, it's not an acceptable answer, especially when it comes to schools. The only thing that would be acceptable, as I said, is professors, teachers, etc., over a certain age. I think they ought to take it easy for another few weeks, 5 weeks, 4 weeks, who knows, whatever it may be.
When it comes to schools, Dr. Fauci said different regions would take different approaches. As far as making students and parents feel safe about returning to school, Dr. Fauci said the likelihood of having treatment or a vaccine in time for the fall is, quote, a bridge too far. And I think one of the issues here, Joe, is that people understand Fauci, especially when he breaks down the science of this.
What's so funny is
pretty basic.
Donald Trump sitting there with his arms crossed, all defensive and upset. Donald Trump, it is. I mean, what Donald Trump's attacks of other people, as John Heilman has accurately said, shows he's either confessing or he's projecting.
Right.
And so here is a man who has been bouncing back and forth from saying that there's nothing to worry about. This is going to all go away. It's just one person coming in from China. It's only 11 people coming in. It's only 15 people. It's going to be down to zero. It's all going away in April. He's been saying this for months.
Yeah, but people are
And
scared.
then one day he'll go, well, 2 million people could die, so we're going to shut down the he bounces back and forth and back and forth and back and forth. There's no consistency, which is why Donald Trump only has 36% of Americans who believe anything he says about this pandemic. And by the way, those 36% of Americans, I ask friends and loved ones to keep household appliances like blenders out of their reach. We don't want them to lose any fingers, don't want them to lose any hands. Keep blenders and other sharp devices away from them. Basic household tools. These people could probably put out an eye with a screwdriver. So if they believe anything Donald Trump is saying about this pandemic, please don't let them play with blenders. The second thing is, Willie, is that Dr. Fauci is actually following White House advice. He's following Donald Trump's White House guidelines, and he's staying consistent with Donald Trump's White House guidelines. So far from playing both sides, one of the stupidest things Donald Trump said, at least in the last day, but far from playing both sides, he's only playing one side. We're going to follow science. We're going to follow medicine. We're not going to be freaking out like Donald Trump if a new poll comes out that shows him getting destroyed by Joe Biden. Dr. Fauci is following medical and science advice that will keep Americans safe. Donald Trump, on the other hand, is darting back and forth. A free-range politician who's lost his mind because he's losing poll after poll after poll. So to sit there and say Fauci's playing both sides is just about as stupid of an analysis as Donald Trump could give. And that, my friend, is saying a lot.
You know, governors, mayors, school superintendents, the American people will have to decide who they believe. Do you believe Dr. Anthony Fauci, a life in infectious disease study, or the hunches of President Trump? Because the alternative, Donald Trump said to Dr. Fauci's, quote, unacceptable answer, is his hunches. He says, well, if you're older, let's call it 4 or 5 weeks, who knows, he said. With schools, we got to send kids back to schools because, look, yes, there's some of these rare diseases that take place in a few kids, but you also could get hurt walking to school. You could get hurt in a car accident going to school. So Donald Trump is speaking with the authority of someone who has actually studied this, when in truth, he's going on his hunches and he's going on his wishes, Joe, that this again will go away and that come September, kids will all be back in school. Boy, do we hope that's true. I know everyone on this panel right now and everyone watching this show hope their kids go back to school, but they want to do it safely. And what Dr. Fauci actually said the other day is, we have to be humble enough to say we don't know exactly where this disease is headed next. So, no, he wasn't going to make any grand pronouncements about sending all of our kids back to school.
Right, and Donald Trump's hunches that he talks about, his hunch was it was only one person coming in from China, and it was going to go away.
Right.
We're going to be fine. February 22nd. February 26th, his hunch was it's only 11 people coming in. It's going to go away. His hunch, talking to African-American leaders in the White House in February, hey, you know what? This is going to go away in April when things get warm. This is going to just go away in April. That's what it's going to go away magically. That was his hunch. And then you get into March. What are his hunches? He starts having hunches. He gets into April, starts having hunches. His hunch is about hydroxychloroquine.
Right.
Says it repeatedly. I'm not a doctor. What do I know? It's just my hunch. It's just I got a good you-know-what, he said.
What?
Then the government, his government, has to warn, don't just take this stuff, bad for your heart.
Right.
And then he just has a hunch. He says, Dr. Birx, we checked this out for you. I just have a hunch. I'm a pretty smart guy. I have a good you-know-what. How about injecting disinfectants into bodies that can clean out the lungs? You know, this takes on the lungs, can clean out the lungs.
It would be funny.
He has that hunch, too. Not a doctor, he says, but he has a hunch. Then he has a hunch it's not going to even come back in the fall and winter. That hunch, very bad. What a dangerous, dangerous hunch to have when science suggests just the other way. Oh, we hope it doesn't come back. We hope it goes away magically. We hope leprechauns and fairies float across the land. Donald Trump fairies float across the land with magic pixie dust, making everybody healthy and hopefully helping our backswings and adding muscle tone to those who desire it. And maybe he has a hunch that people with bad hairstyle, maybe male pattern baldness will be removed. No, there's no scientific attachment to these hunches. And what's the impact of it? The impact of it is the 36% that actually still believe him
Are in danger.
They're endangering themselves. They're endangering loved ones. Conservatives are going out going, what are you guys doing? It's not conservative to not wear a mask. It's not conservative to not socially distance. It's not conservative to go to restaurants and clump together wearing American flags, thinking that somehow you're making America great again by making Americans sick, by making your loved ones sick. It's great. And Willie, you talked about, these governors or Dr. Fauci. Who are people going to trust? They've already decided. They don't trust Donald Trump. 36% trust Donald Trump, 62% don't. But you look at the governors, the Michigan governor, Governor Whitmer, she's in the 70s. Mm-hmm. You look at the Wisconsin governor, his approval ratings are sky high. Mike DeWine in Ohio, his approval ratings are sky high. Pennsylvania's Democratic governor, his approval ratings are sky high. Donald Trump's are really bad right now. And just like Governor Kemp's, who listened to Donald Trump. And Dr. Fauci, by the way, overwhelming majority of Americans believe him and not Donald Trump, and stooges in the media who blindly follow Donald Trump and attack Dr. Fauci. This is a TKO. This fight was over a long time ago. Americans believe Dr. Fauci and don't believe Donald Trump. Look at the numbers.
Thanks for checking out MSNBC on YouTube, and make sure you subscribe to stay up to date on the day's biggest stories. And you can click on any of the videos around us to watch more from Morning Joe and MSNBC. Thanks so much for watching.